I think it's great that you're even aware enough to ask that question, because I think most people get really comfortable with people telling them what they want to hear, and it kills them and they never realize it. But conversely, I think that a lot of people become yes people or yes men without even realizing that they're yes men.
Andy, I have a small team of 5, and I believe that it is crucial to be given honest and accurate feedback. However, I am beginning to get the sense that I have a few yes men working for me. They're great performers, super positive people, but I just don't feel like it's truly helping with growth and moving towards our mission. How can I, as the leader, create a better environment to get them out of that?
Man, first of all, I'd like to say, I think it's great that you're even aware enough to ask that question, because I think most people get really comfortable with people telling them what they want to hear, and it kills them and they never realize it. But conversely, I think that a lot of people become yes people or yes men without even realizing that they're yes men, okay? Because what ends up happening is you guys form your team, you continue to go down the path, you have a couple wins, right? And it's fun to win, right? And you're happy when you win, but what are you when you lose? You're not as happy, all right? So if you are, let's just say, a fiery leader, which I am, all right? You can go too fiery whenever you lose, which actually makes people gun shy about telling you the truth. And this is a mistake that I made in business for a very long time. All right. This is an adjustment that I had to make to go from a small business to a medium-sized business to, a pretty large privately owned business now, in my own style. And so the first thing I would say to you is, how are you responding when you lose? Okay. Are you freaking the fuck out and bringing fire and brimstone? Because dude, I'm going to tell you, I can relate to that. It sucks to lose. All right. And sometimes still to this day, when we lose, and bro, is it true?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sometimes
fucking
still
Hiroshima
to this day,
over here.
Right. The fucking volcano goes off. All right. But I always feel bad about it because I know what it creates, because it actually erodes the very information that I am required to have to make the best decision to move ourselves forward as a team. And so usually when you have people that have become yes men, I've found in my experience, it's because A, they have a much better time winning, and B, they're afraid to tell you the bad news. And so you have to create an environment where they can tell you the bad news. And I think the way that I've been able to partially, or just, I'm much improved. Okay. I still have my moments, but the way I've been able to do that for myself is to adjust my perspective from a leader of the team. Okay. I'm the leader of the team to just part of the team. All right. So when I see myself as part of the team and I'm just doing a part, right? Like, let's just use our podcast as an example. I'm the voice. You guys produce it. You guys edit it, and we put it together. We're a team. I do my part. You do your part. You guys do your part. When I look at it like that, I don't get as upset. I just say, okay, this is bad news. All right. How do we need to adjust this so that we can win together? When I find myself a little bit in my own ego, all right, and I start to think, fuck, I'm the man and this is my team and shit like that, which, bro, none of us are immune to, okay? This is a practice, especially when you've won big many times. It's hard to be humble when you're fucking great. It's just the truth. You have to practice it, okay? And that's not me saying I'm great, but, I'm pretty good, all right? I'm just being real, dude. The numbers and the stats, everything, it's real world evidence.
We got the pudding.
So I have to fucking see myself as just part of the team, rowing the boat with the guys, with the team. And then that allows me to communicate in a calmer way, which gets me better information, which allows me to steer the boat in the proper direction. That's my personal journey.
Well, the guys see it too, right? Like they see you remove yourself as that overarching leader, and then, oh shit, well, Andy's on the same team as us.
Yeah. And then you get everybody rowing a little bit harder, man, and a little bit more consistency. And they want to do better. And so leading from a place of humility, and I don't do this perfectly. All right. And very many people do this. Very few people do this perfectly. They might say they do it perfectly on the internet, but the results of their life tell the story. Okay. Their success tells the story. And so, there's a lot of guys, I'm just being real. A lot of guys come on the internet, they're like, I'm a humble leader. Well, your business sucks. You must not be that fucking humble of a leader. Like you ain't really all that.
Right.
So when I do that, it's a different perspective. And I feel like it encourages people to give better information that is more honest and true. But I also think it's important, and it kind of goes into the realm of developing people, like we were talking about a minute ago, is that you also have to develop people to have a little bit of courage and communicate to them like, look, bro, I'm paying you for your fucking brain and information. Please tell me the truth. Otherwise, you're not valuable to me. And setting those standards up and holding those standards, not only holding them to those standards, but you as well. You tell the truth to them. And I think all of those things mixed together help correct a little bit of this problem that's going on. But for me, this is a lifelong project. I'm already aware of it because I have, I'm a competitive person. I very much so love to win, but I really fucking hate to lose. And when I lose, I don't always react the best way. And I think that makes people gun shy, which creates a situation where I can't operate with the proper information, which makes it a harder way to win. So that's my story on it.
Yeah.
I have so much that I want to talk about with this.
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, kudos for bringing this up.
Yeah.
Second, they are not yes men. You have trained them to be yes men. And so it is 100% your fault. So they didn't become that. You made them that. And so I think Andy and I will agree, and I will give different language to what Andy just said. So there's 3 reactions that any leader can have, or really any human can have to any circumstance, anything that happens. 1 is that you can reward it. 2nd is you can punish it. 3rd, you can extinguish it. So extinguishing it is just ignoring it. So somebody texts you and you just don't respond. They text again, you don't respond. You do it long enough, they just stop texting you. That extinguishes behavior. That's different than if they text you and you say, fuck you, never text me again. That's punishing, right? And on the 3rd category, they text you and then you give them a cookie in some way. And so what's really interesting about this, and there's 100 years of literature behind this, and this is one of the reason I have a lot to say on this is because we're actually separating out our mission between acquisition.com and Hormozi Media. So like all the stuff I put out in the actual acquisition.com mission. And so the acquisition.com mission is to create companies that are built off of praise, not punishment. And the reason for that is that punishment is more effective in the short term and less effective in the long term because people forget punishment fades in your memory, right? Like you fall off a horse and a lot of time, or someone is mean to you. And after a long enough period of time, you're it starts to fade, right? Whereas reward gets stronger over time. And so if you want them to talk to you more, then you reward them for talking to you, but not just in general, you reward them immediately. And so believe it or not, the speed of reward is significantly more important than the intensity of the reward. So a high five in the moment when someone does something means more than a bonus at the end of the month in real terms for human behavior. And so this is what we're trying to embed. And I'll give you a little proof point. So right now, if you run a sales team, and this might already be, if you're in a company, all right, and there's a Slack channel, and I'll tell you something that happens commonly in sales teams, is that guys will put in the Slack when they get a sale. They'll be like, close the deal, close the deal, close the deal, right? Why do they do that? Because the moment they do that, immediately they get rewarded. They get a fire emoji, they get a high five, that's awesome, whatever. Now, they haven't closed the sale yet. And that's why sales guys often overestimate their actual closes versus end of month cards that went through. Because the reward for closing an actual sale doesn't actually come until much later, but they get the reward immediately for reporting it. And so they report it more. And so if you want to change your team's behavior, then when they tell you, if you want your team to talk to you all the time, then reward them for talking to you all the time, because you can reward someone for accurately telling you the data. You can reward them for telling you the data, and then you can reward the content of the data. Those are 3 separate things. And so ideally you want to, even if someone reports at the end of the week that they closed 0 sales, what you don't want is them to stop telling you, because for everybody who I just told that little Slack example, how many times are they putting in the Slack that they haven't closed? 0. Why? Because they get no reinforcement for it. They get no reward. And so if you want them to talk to you more, then the moment they talk to you, you immediately respond and say high five, figuratively. Give them a cookie, give them a Skittle, whatever it is. Awesome job. Thanks for reporting that. You're really on top of it. And if you can, put it as a label that they can identify with, which is, dude, you're so on top of it. You're so good. You're so accurate with your reporting. It's awesome. It makes my job so much easier. Thank you for doing it.
You're really good about this. You're just, even as a friend, you're fucking great about it.
I appreciate that a lot. That means I work on it a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I say that because it's become the mission of our company, Layla and I, because so many people want to work and they get punished for working, which is terrible, right?
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening, and we were talking about this earlier, is that people will revert to the law of least effort, is that they will do as little as possible in order to not get fired. And think about this. What is the upside of them challenging you? If you don't reward them and you punish them occasionally, you will completely eliminate the behavior. And then they will just try and skate by as little as they can to not rock the boat. And so right now, this is going to be an extreme visual, but like you have a puppy that you have beat in the corner. Now, you may not see it that way, but from a behavioral perspective, they're in the corner, in the cage, and they're afraid to come out. And so you may have to reward them again and again and again and breadcrumb until eventually it's like, if the puppy looks at the door of the cage, you reward them. And then if they take a step, you reward them. And then finally, over time, it'll take its first step outside. And then you go nuts. Oh, that's amazing. You did such a great job. And then all of a sudden, they become addicted to you and they become addicted to the reward because you have now reestablished yourself. Instead of a doler of punishment, you become the source of reward. Mm-hmm. And everyone does everything simply based because they have been rewarded for it in the past.
I think, first of all, I think that's fucking amazing. And I think it's absolutely true. And I've lived that. And I continue to live that. And it's very difficult. It takes discipline to do that, especially when you're losing. And one thing I want to touch on what Alex said, which is very important to what he said, because when you lose your temper, okay, and you're a competitive person and you get hot, just because you're not firing someone or, taking something away from them doesn't mean you aren't punishing them. Okay. Like like when you, and I know this because like, dude, I've done this and this, I speak from experience. You will shut your people the fuck down by getting too upset when things don't go your way.
Or just a look.
Yeah.
You mean, you're just like someone challenges your idea in a meeting and you just look at them. They're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a different level of awareness.
Yeah. All I'm saying is be aware of when he says punishment, understand that he's not talking about actual punishment specifically. It can be a lot of different things.
It could be body language. It could be nonverbal, 100%.
Yeah.
If you just pick apart someone's idea, what are they going to stop doing? Bringing up ideas.
Yeah.
Here's 6 reasons why that's not going to work.
Yeah.
They're going to stop bringing up ideas. Right.
No, I actually love that answer, dude. I think it's a super fucking important answer. I think it's real. I think it's real corrective behavior. And by the way, to anybody who is erring too hard to the side of what we're talking about, where it's negative and you want people to, this is the path to get them to start. And, dude, every hard time I've ever had with any project, like let's just say getting something off the ground or building something from scratch, what we're talking about here has delayed the result significantly. Okay. So like, remember that every single time you lose your temper. All right. And I'm talking to myself too, because I'm not going to sit here and say, like,
me too.
I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, dude, I do this perfect. Okay. Everybody in this room would be like, you're a fucking liar. All right. So, but dude, I think these guys know that I fucking love them and I give a fuck about them and I want them to win. And, I want to win together, but you will get there a lot faster if you learn to have a little bit of discipline in how you communicate when it comes to that.
Can I clarify something real quick?
Yeah.
I want to ask, make sure that I'm getting this right. Are you also saying that even when mistakes are made or the team is coming to you with a fuck up that they had, you can still reward that?
Absolutely.
Man, that's some powerful shit.
You're specific about what you are rewarding.
Yeah.
So you're rewarding them for coming to you. You're rewarding them for being honest and accurate with the information.
Which is the most important point of the whole question. Like you can't make the decisions without the fucking information.
And
that's the hardest thing as a leader to fucking get, is real information. And that's why this question is so important.
And this is why creating the space, like mentally, to not flip out and just give yourself that half second of breathing.
Yeah. Pause.
To then, to then say, thank you for bringing this to me. This information is valuable because it allows us to make way better decisions so that we can all win. We're going to figure this out together.
Yeah.
Awesome work.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't a win. And I just want to tie this one thing because for me, this was like crazy eye-opening. So my close friend, he's a behavioral genie when it comes to this stuff. He's a PhD, all that stuff. And he showed me this study on training dogs. All right. And by the way, if it works in all mammals, it works in humans, just FYI. And what they did was they had a dog sit. They were trying to train a dog. And all they did was they changed when they did the reward and how long it took to train the behavior. And so if they immediately gave the cookie to the dog the moment it sat down, it obviously learned the fastest. And then at 5 seconds, so it sits and they wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they gave the cookie, it took 3 or 4 times longer. After 30 seconds, the dog was untrainable. And the real around that is not that if you wait longer than 30 seconds, people stop being able to be trained. You do train them, but you train them to do something else. Because whatever they did right before the reward is the thing that you're reinforcing. And so
that's how important the instant.
That's why the timing is so, like, think about how social media has trained people. The moment you get a comment, you get a notification and you hit it. And they have trained you just like rats on levers. You get the thing, you hit the button, you hit the button, you hit the button, you scroll because they've trained you to get that reward. And then if you really want to train behavior in a way that you don't always have to reward, is that you start stretching out the reinforcement interval. So you reward, and then next time you might not reward. And then you reward the next time. It's like gambling, right? And then you reward again, and then 2 more times you don't reward. And then over time, what happens is, like, think about how you potty train a kid. In the beginning, they pee in the toilet for the first time, you go nuts. Amazing, right? And the next time, you go a little less nuts, but still immediate. And then the next time, a little less nuts. And then maybe it's a high five. And then it's slowly, over time, you stretch the interval. And then when your 17-year-old takes a shit, you're not like, congratulations, buddy, right?
It just becomes the standard.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and this is really interesting from a, like, obviously you can tally jam on this, but the behavior that you have trained itself becomes inherently rewarding. As in, like, video editors in the beginning need someone to give them a Skittle every time they do the edit. But over time, the act of editing videos itself becomes rewarding. And that's where you start to become a master of a skill, because you can start rewarding yourself for what you do. And you're not actually rewarding yourself, the situation is, and then it reinforces the behavior. But fundamentally, like, that's the goal of every leader, is that in the beginning, we are the manual effort that rewards specific activities, that breadcrumbs, clap, skittle, skittle, skittle. And then over time, we stretch the reinforcement until being good at marketing rewards the head of marketing more than anything else. And then we just make sure we don't punish them for doing their job.
It's fucking great shit.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Dude, that's such a huge point where people, that will make or break you. It just really is. Because, dude, how can you drive the boat if you don't know which way you're trying to go? Because your guys won't tell you, hey, man, there's an iceberg up here, or hey, we got a problem with this paddle back here, or hey, we got some fucking holes back here. Like, if they don't tell you that shit, what eventually happens? You hit the iceberg, you stop, you start going in circles, or your boat fucking sinks. And this is real shit.
Yeah.
That's a very important question. I'm glad whoever asked that was aware enough to ask that, because a lot of people really do enjoy being around people who just tell them yes. I don't know a single human being that wins on a large scale that is one of those people. Not a single one. Dude, you and I talk about this all the fucking time. How important it is to have the truth right in your fucking face, man.
And they've also, and you've also trained them to be yes men, because for you, it is rewarding.
Right. Exactly.
So you have been trained to, so like, I've told you, like, I could talk about this for a long time, but I will cut it off. But people a lot of times think about human behavior and say, what triggered that, right? They think about what happened before someone does something.
It's cause and effect.
But what you want to look at is what happens after, because that's why people did it. So for example, I'm going to give a really extreme example. Let's say you have, so I'll tell you, like, I'll white label the example. Let's say I have a CEO who is one of our portfolio companies, and we were telling them that they needed to make this very hard personnel decision. And the individual in question said, I don't want to keep talking about this. I'm going to have a panic attack. Okay. And so that is a behavior. She has learned to do that. How has she learned to do that? Or how has he learned to do that? Because every time he or she does that,
people quit. They quit pressuring.
Everyone backs off. And so the reward for the behavior. And the moment you back off, it gets reinforced.
Yeah.
And they'll do it again. And so if we want to see why someone does something, look at what happens afterwards. And if you really want, like, I'm going to go one more level in this and then I'll shut up. But it applies to all humans in general. And so think about the 16-year-old kid who sneaks out of his house, right? He's trying to go get some tail, whatever. That's his reward. That's why he's sneaking out. Now, what happens? Dad stays by the door with his shotgun or with his fucking belt or whatever it is, and he stares at the door, seething, waiting for the kid to come home. The kid walks in the door. What does he do? He punishes him. What did he punish him for? Coming home. He didn't punish him for leaving. He punished him for coming home.
Well, he already got rewarded for getting tail too.
Exactly. No. And so exactly.
That's real shit, man.
And so what you do is you create smarter criminals.
Yeah.
You don't change behavior. Or you change the behavior, but you're not
the way you're
not getting
to.
the desired
Correct.
outcome.
Yeah.
And so obviously,
Bro, this is good shit.
Yeah, I can, but like that's why we're dedicating the mission of the company. Like we believe that companies can crush the companies that are built on punishment. Now, you might say, okay, what about like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, McKinsey, right? These are all, most people consider them very punishing environments. They take really high achievers, they work them to death, and then they churn out, right? That's the game. And so what happens is if you have, and this is across mammals, not humans, if you have an organism that is trapped, as it cannot escape, and the only thing it gets is punishment, then what it does is, like I said earlier, it reverts to the law of least effort. But what you do if you have a completely punishing environment is that you just simply raise the bar of not getting punished. And so what happens is you get every single person to work themselves to death. But here's where you lose out. And this is obviously like what the thesis of our entire company is built on, is that the highest performing people, the smartest super genies at Goldman Sachs and at McKinsey, because they have some smart people there, those people can work medium hard and hit the bar of what is required. But what you miss out on is what we call discretionary effort. So just like you have discretionary spending, get some pocket money at the end of the month that you go buy some stuff with, you also have discretionary effort. So it's the amount of effort that you can expend on any task, or expend on any task way above and beyond. And that's what people call having passion, loving your job.
Bro, it's where all the greatness comes from.
And you punish the people who actually will make you the most money. Because because you have to set the bar if you have a punishing environment at a point where you're not going to churn out of literally everyone. And so you have to set it to a point where the guy who just works really hard and might not be a genius, he can still keep his job. But the guy who is a genius, he phones it in because he can still keep his job. But you miss out on the best people's best work.
I love that, man.
Which is what you fucking hired them to do.
And that's the highest leverage thing you have, like the most valuable asset in the business.
Yeah, absolutely.